Good evening, everyone. I wanted to do a follow up. Let's continue to follow up the path of Kareem's situation. I've been telling some people that I've been wanting to do a real life TV show, like uh, do a huge donation and have 8 Hexicans living in the same house somewhere and see what drama would take place and see if we could get some film crews and recording people and some editors to then release this to the United States and the rest of the world in English and see, if we could attract people to our community, like what's happening over there, sort of a injection into pop culture somehow. And well, I've asked around and stuff, and basically everybody thinks that they could do it with their own money whenever the bull market comes around and lifts the price of our entire ecosystem. Well, um, I sat back for a little bit and realized that, hey, possibly this Kareem thing is the actual thing that I could start documenting, and we could somehow get some attention on this. So let's go forward. It hasn't really progressed, but there's a lot of communication going on. A little bit of an intro.
I was 5 and he was 6. We rode on horses made of sticks. He wore black and I wore white. He would always win the fight. Bang, bang. He shot me down. Bang.
Leave it at that. All right. So we're going to go straight to what Yoon has been doing in his communications with all of us. Let's see. So Yoon has tweeted out maybe 3 tweets since my last episode. He has shown that somebody sent 3 something ETH, and so that made it to where the total was 17,000 that has been donated. And it kind of sucks that they kept it in ETH instead of changing what the denomination was, instead of turning it to USDC immediately. The reason why is because we just recently had an ETH dump of like 10% or 6% or something like that. So that 17,000 now looks a bit smaller. Something that was also interesting is $2,000 of that 17,000 was transferred out. Maybe 2,500 was transferred out just yesterday, and I don't know where that went. We were told by Yoon that that Kareem was expecting on Friday for him to have a bail, and to have a bail amount. And we never got that amount on Friday. And instead, we waited through the weekend thinking that on Monday, today, we were going to get an estimate on what bail was going to cost. And again, on Monday, we're told that it's going to take longer for that to happen. So now Kareem's lawyer says that on Thursday is the new day that possibly we'll have some information. He says so right here in this tweet. Thursday, I just highlighted it. In this tweet, Yoon, this is today, 4 hours ago. So this evening, after Yoon quit working for the day, he tweeted this out, talking about how good of a person Kareem is, and showed a image or a freeze frame. What is that? Stop motion progression of him and Kareem framing out Kareem's first time to ever help out in framing a house. This is a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath house to put on the market, and they did it in 13 days back in April of 2024. So this year, April. Um, I haven't read all of these tweets or all of these comments below, but I think there's less hate happening, and it's calming down. The hate is now every time somebody goes in and says, "Hey, until Kareem EES's all of his stakes in the Dream account, I'm not going to donate one little bit." I always bump in there with a moderate comment. I'm not negative or positive, and I say that if it is that Kareem was to EES the remainder stakes on the Dream account specifically, those stakes would go to zero. That's how the Hex Truth Engine honest system works. Those stakes are too far out there. He hasn't reached 50% yet. The penalties would outweigh the principal and the interest and the big payday that was ever put upon those stakes. So that the penalties would make it go to zero. Everything would be a donation to the rest of the Hex system, and meaning the rest of the stakers would have a payday, and not that great of a payday, but still a payday. And so would the origin address. Remember, because the origin address gets half the penalties. We want this because the origin address keeps an asymmetrical balance so that somebody can't front run our entire system whenever these hacks happen, right? Because we've experienced those hacks in the past where we've had huge paydays and it's like, okay, who got hacked, sadly. And whenever hackers get their hands on these accounts, they don't know what they're doing. They just obliterate the whole thing, right? Okay. So I talked about how 17,000 worth of ETH has been put in there. However, it's a little bit less because the ETH price went down recently. He should have changed it over to USDC, but that's hindsight knowledge. I eyed these accounts here that have been donating to him, and I'm wondering if there's any circulation of funds. I don't recognize any of these addresses, so I don't think there's a game being played there. I do think it's funny that one of these accounts that offered $16 yesterday, that was $17. They put it down as a loan, so they want that money back. Come on, guys! If you're gonna offer 0.006 ETH that's worth $17, just let it be. Don't expect it back. Okay. So Yoon is asking for political favors here. If anybody has any information, or if anybody is connected, please read over this one. And I think on this particular tweet, and Yoon is very good about saying the Dream account, donate to that account, don't donate to other accounts. So that's a good thing, And he continues to offer the Dream account address so that no one gets confused. Less people will get scammed, if any. Whenever you're willing to donate, if you are. And then he also puts his email address out there, and it's johnanderson@gmail.com. That's kind of a big thing, to put your name out there, your main Gmail. Like, I've got my full name Gmail, and I don't want that thing spammed up with stuff. So good on you, Yoon. And then Yoon also reminded me that he had reached out to me in the past, and I had gotten him cards, and that those cards had all been passed out. And so I don't know if he's saying like, "Hey, remember me, buddy, from before," or if he's saying that he wants some more cards. But I'm gonna go ahead and send some more cards anyway to his New Orleans address, because that's where he's posted out of. Now, this tweet or this comment from who might be the Hexlina address. So Hexlina recently got banned from Twitter, I think, or something happened to Hexlina account. And two different accounts have popped up saying that, maybe not saying that they're Hexlina, but taking the place of Hexlina. So this one here is at stake phex 5555. Yesterday, or yeah, we would say yesterday, Hexlina commented that this activity of donating to Kareem's account should only be taken on by sharks plus, meaning people who are larger than sharks or sharks themselves. So, dolphins, you are just fine passing this up in Hexlena's opinion, and the same thing with everybody down below. You turtles, you squids, you shrimps, you shells, y'all don't need to worry about this stuff. And possibly you don't need to comment either. I don't know. It's up to you. This thing is quite interesting because we do need to browbeat. We do need to beat what is it, like, chisel into the community the ideals that we want inside of our community. Um, because Kareem has definitely failed in creating a ladder. He should be able to have something that's available to him to emergency in-stake immediately and pay for the funds of his own life and the ups and downs of it, because most people are coming to this and saying like, hey, well, my car broke down last week, or hey, I've got some debt to pay off. Does the community want to help me with that? So what I wanted to touch also on with the Hexlena's post here is that she also says, she or he, whatever the hell's behind this account, she also says that it looks as though Kareem is not behind any of his other accounts. So, like, imagine this: you're down there and you've got your dream account on your cell phone, and or you love your dream account so much that in the past you have um you have memorized the password, the like 12 words to your account. So, or maybe you've got a backup situation set up for that dream account where you and a friend or a few friends own that account together, and then Kareem is just the face man for it. Well, what if Kareem didn't have access to other accounts that he also owns? So what he needs now is people on the outside to do his financial work for him. And immediately, whenever he is released, then he can get into those other accounts where he's got the seed phrases hidden in a wall of a house somewhere. You know what I mean? Written like, imagine, this is all hypothetical. Imagine him putting his 12 seed words on a piece of metal and hiding it inside of the wall of a house. And so he knows exactly where it is. Or what if he followed through with the idea that I had, or many people have had actually, but I really adored, was painting a painting with those 12 seed words um, instilled in it in memory. What activities are happening inside the painting. Oh, it's, if you go to AI and you tell them all the seed phrases, they're just going to give you uh, like a terrible image of things that are very easy to figure out, and it's going to be almost like a white background with all of these objects in front of it. But if it is that you thought about it for a little while and you dreamt up a scenario of tying these phrases together in a paragraph, and then you sort of massage it a few times, a few outputs out of AI, then you could actually get a cool image. And that's what I ended up doing with the DeFi puzzle.xyz. which is not hacked, by the way. 1 million hex out for you to grab if you want to. And should I consider eliminating that game for this donation? No, I don't think so. But it would be kind of a cool sacrifice within the community. So, um, our real life scenario keeps going. Traps in the comments. He says, just got caught up. The Hexalina account is ran by Hexminati. Hexminati. Sweet. I'm glad you figured that out. Some of the guys, let's see. Some of the guys in the, speaking of figuring out who's behind accounts, some of the guys in the Tang gang say that they know who's behind whale.pulse, whale.pls. And I sent you a DM earlier about that. Okay, so a few people, of course, are saying like, did Kareem? That's actually what I had the idea of starting out this live stream with. Is do you actually think that Kareem didn't sacrifice for Pulse Chain back in the day? Do you think that he didn't sacrifice for Pulse Chain? Meaning, don't you think that he has some Pulse and Pulse X sitting around somewhere? And then, do you think he didn't diversify into other Richard Hart things? He is one person who quite possibly never got hired by another organization trying to infiltrate the Hexicans' wealth. And he is quite possibly a person who did not talk about other coins. I'm not sure if he did. I think no, it was Facing Reality pointed out last, like 2 episodes ago, that Kareem was big into ETH back in the day. And so that's how it is that he recognized what it was that Hex had to offer. And that's why he wanted to become such a big position holder in Hex. Because, of course, Hex launched on ETH. And I don't think anything new stood out for me with these comments. I think it was all the same old. And I've really tried to analyze everything. You guys let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Please let me know in the comments. Do you think that this is good exposure for the Hex community or not? Do you think that this would be, like any media is good media sort of thing? Or do you think that it looks really bad for somebody to be a Hex OG and asking for money? But also, guys, this is a victimless crime. This person is locked up in a place that is kind of like third world. It's just one of those private island situations, and it's kind of scary. And what do y'all think should happen? Please put it in the comments. So I ran across this, which was quite interesting, and I sent it over to Trap and his DMs, because here is a guy that's talking about no more sacrifices. And back in the day, Trap had come up with that same idea, and I did a graphic for him, but I left it at just text only. But this is interesting that this guy comes out and says no more sacrifices. And no, that's not an ad. This guy is Game Crypto. He is trolling our community, trying to become one of us. So also in this tweet, Yoon said that he estimates the bail being $30,000. Now, that's excessive in my opinion. And also, to not know how much the bail is, that's kind of like a failure on our part of raising money before we even know how much the bail is. But Yoon says that it would be appropriate for us to get a little bit going, and then there we are on the roadmap to success. And then later on, the larger bag holders would be able to just say, oh, all you need is a little bit more. Let me fulfill that. And then after that, Kareem is freed from the prison and then from jail, and then he's able to roam the island. And actually, Yoon says that he'll need some feeding money and some housing money, and then his court date will be September 6th. Now, what he's doing on the island in the first place, I have no idea. You went there for vacation, and have you spent all your funds on the lawyer, and you can't afford to stay there for an entire month? September 6th is 1 month from today, from the clock ticking over today. Trap says, never let a crisis go to waste. Now, I've heard that out of NWO's personnel's mouths, and so it's, you got to break eggs to make an omelet. Some pretty harsh words there. And then let's see, did I take anything out of the rest of these tweets? I think I pretty much went over everything that stood out for me. B Roots was in the comments, and I'm not able to see his stuff because I'm blocked by him. And B Roots supposedly was pretty harsh in the comments, saying, come on, you can't tell me that's his only wallet. And I've already brushed over that. Like, he's definitely got to have other wallets out there. Kareem does. And then also, if you haven't checked out my earlier streams, which I've done 2 on this subject already, they're about an hour worth of content each one, and then they sort of just fade off. I've said, if it is that a person, because I rival this guy in stakes, and so if it is that this guy only had these stakes, and then he goes around and talks about having this account in public, then he would say to himself, oh shit, I don't want to only have what is publicly known. I would want to have a whole nother staking ladder on a different wallet somewhere else that I would keep in private. So for him to be a diehard Hexican and not have another staking ladder, shorter ladders, like maybe even 2 accounts, one that's for the next 5 years from now, and then another one for 5 to 10 years, and then this other one that's the dream account for the last 5 years of this staking ladder, because it does look like he's been adding on to the staking ladder. Well, no, he hasn't been adding on, because the last stakes were 2027. No, I mean 2037. And so you would now be up to 2038, which there are no stakes for 2038. Okay, so I did some wallet watching, as you guys know. I've got too many tabs up here. Everything to the left of where my cursor is now, the first half of the window, those are all YouTube videos that I'm going to watch later on. Sorry about those. I was too freaking lazy. But I did some wallet digging, and this is what Kareem's dream account looks like. We can see the big run up of value inside the thing. Now, this is not hex stakes involved. Whenever you stake your hex, the hex is burnt. Your contributed shares, based on from the protocol, your wallet is contributed shares, and so this is actual tokens that have been inside of his account or inside of his wallet, and the US dollar value of those. So where it's reading right now, that was $520,000 worth. And then as the as the price peaked and came back down, his account came down pretty fast, meaning he was probably moving it somewhere and staking some for the future, maybe. So this website is called ethplore.io. And so currently we can see that the value on the Ethereum side inside the account with Ethereum, okay, with all the balances all together inside the Ethereum side, it's 15,662. So it came down from the 17,000 that I saw in that earlier tweet that I just showed you, where Yoon is keeping a tablature of who donated how much from what account, keeping their names out of it, just which addresses, and if it was a loan or if it was a donation. And the largest donation so far was about $10,000 worth of ETH as of that day. And it came with Railgun. And the other day I stated, I don't know exactly the ins and outs of Railgun. I still don't, but what it does is it masks, Railgun masks where the stuff comes from. So it's almost like a tornado cash situation. So Facing Reality told me that dbank.com was a good place to enter in wallet addresses and look at the values inside of them. So I did that for the Dream account, and this is what comes up. So just a bunch of dust, and then there's Ethereum, some Pulse, a little bit of Hex, a little bit of Hedron. I don't think anybody's donated any Hedron. I think people have only donated Ethereum. And somebody in the comments of one of the Twitter posts commented, isn't it ironic that everybody's donating Ethereum stuff instead of anything on Pulse Chain? You know, most people are upset about being down in the first place. So if we go to hexscout.com, the Dream account is actually labeled. It's it's somehow recorded whenever you go there and you enter in an address to search for it. And today, the current value of the Dream accounts with all the stakes is 790K. And that means that it's gone down in the last few days, because whenever we started this whole thing, I think it was 850K worth in there. And then Hex Scout, it groups your EHEX and your PHEX together to give you a grandiose number. So 314 million hex total with the EHEX plus the PHEX. And so it says that there's a little bit liquid in both, like the smallest amount. And then there's a lot staked, and then interest plus probably the big paydays. And then it says that there are some Hedron stakes here. I'm not quite sure what this means here. If anybody would like to chime in, look at the screen right now and tell me what that means. Hedron stakes, $56,000 worth on the principal. If he has any stakes that have been run through the Hedron protocol, then he's able to put them up on the Hedron auction. And then he could sell those stakes and get them out of his wallet. So that's why I'm concerned. That's one of the reasons why I'm wallet chasing. And I just remembered to use Hex Scout today for some stupid reason. It just occurred to me, like, oh, they could help me out. Let's see, active stakes. It says that he has 24 active stakes, meaning 12 on Pulse Chain and 12 on Ethereum. And if I haven't said it on a live stream yet today, or on a live stream, I think that there is a possibility that he could sell the Dream account altogether for a major discount to somebody who is a trusted person and who trusts Kareem as well. Because keep in mind, like Kareem could still have access to this account in the future, even if he was to sell it. But if you set up a new wallet, like a Trezor, then I believe you would be able to migrate it over just like if it was hacked. So keep that in mind. We're thinking of all the things and we're trying to stay even keel here. Okay, so whenever it is that I went through Kareem's account on ETHplorer, this one, here's his account. Then I also uh, I went through his transactions, and that's what these are down here. And there's many pages of them. He's been very active, and also he's been scraping his Hedron and scraping his COM and selling those off. So I'm pretty sure what his plan has been, and it's a little bit of my plan as well. Take the Hedron that's available and sell it, and use it for living funds, and pay attention to the core Richard Hart products. We're going to go back to, so in these transactions that I'm talking about, I found a few wallets that were quite interesting. And one of those wallets is this one. And we'll call this the 26E, the A26E wallet. And this wallet looks a lot like a OG's account, where during the last bull, or after the projects that followed the bull. So it's starting like in February of 22. This account boomed, and then sort of recited, and then boomed again in September 4th of 22. And then now it's just coasting, and then it's finding a bottom. But its bottom right now, it has something like $39,000 worth in it. And so this just reminds me of accounts that are similar to like a Hexican OG, right? Where somebody would experience these booms in the things that we were involved in, and then coasting after the funds were put into appropriate places, and maybe here and there they were taken out from. And so I don't know if like whenever I'm wallet chasing, I'm not a pro. So I don't know if these addresses belong. I don't think they belong to exchanges. I don't think they belong to project founders. Like those sorts of things. I think that these belong to OGs. And this account interacted with Kareem's account. So you see where I'm getting at? So this certain account has $8,476 worth of Hedron in it. And this is on the Ethereum side only. And it has $32,700 worth of USDC in it. Okay. So I've gone over the A26E. And then I put that into the DBank to see what is on the Pulse chain side. And I'm able to see that it has another $1,200 in Pulse chain. So that $1,200 comes from USDC fork, where during the time of the fork, it had $560,000 worth of USDC in it. And now that value, after the USDC is not paired to $1, on Pulse chain. So it's only $522 worth. And then the Hedron from the fork equates to $730 worth. So those put together is $1,200, right? So that's what I'm seeing. So the total account value that's liquid inside of it is 42,000. And at one time on Ethereum, that account reached it peaked above 8 million back in the day. Going forward, maybe I should read some comments because I'm losing viewers but I think I'm doing a good job. Scraping of Hedron consistently every month could paint a picture on behavior. Hey man, if the stuff is available and you want to put it into something that you think is more productive, or like what are you going to do with your Hedron? If you were a big OG in Hex and this free dividend comes around, are you going to allow and you don't think that it's going to do as well as Hex? Do you think that you would scrape it and take the value and cash it out right then? Or do you think you would scrape it and hold it? With the way that Hedron works, if you scrape it now or if you scrape it later, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have a larger payout depending on when you scrape it. And as opposed to like the Texan token situation, where if you scrape it more often, you get less. And if you delay gratification, you get more. I don't know everything about Texan token. I only sacrificed to that because I'm in Texas. And if it worked out to be a good thing, then great. I'm blessed with it. And if not, which, it's worked its way to be what it is now. We don't know what it's going to be in the next bull. I really have almost never talked about Texan token, and it's not public that I'm a donator. And also, it was very, very little money, in my opinion. Trap says, so he has HSIs. I don't know if he has HSIs. I'm hoping to find that out. If he does, then that would be a crazy turn on events, and then we would have to highlight the Hexlena's perspective, where she's saying he does not have access to other accounts, and only this one account he has access to now, and then later he might be able to get around to other valuable accounts, and then that's where he can immediately pay back the loans. But is he out there building houses with Yoon to build relationships, or is he out there in order to maintain his lifestyle? What's up, Tim Top? I see you there. He says, what's up, Hexicans? Trap wants to know what is the connection for the E6, the A26E wallet to the Dream account. Yeah, I believe what happened was I followed wallets where he made large USDC donations to those. It would be really hard for me to go through here and figure out where the A26E wallet is. So I wish I remembered exactly what he did. So we'll go back to that question instead of stopping the progress. Maybe it'll be highlighted right here. If we go through the A26E's transactions, maybe we can find the Dream account faster. No. Okay, not going to happen. And then I'm also in a live stream, so it's harder for me to, It's harder on the spot. So looking at the A26E on the otter.pulsechain.com, the block explorer, I think the reason why I showed this was just to show the activity. How well, I don't know. I think I was just looking through that. So just trying to find something interesting, because I'm not sold that Kareem also owns the A26E. Okay, so I also found an account that is 3931, and it also looks like an OG Hexicans account, to where back around the same time that the other one started, the 26th of April, 2022, it had a run up to $8.5 million worth, and then it ran down the same. It probably had the same holdings of tokens because it ran up as well. And I think the last one, it had its peak at September. Well, this one had its peak in August 15th of 22. And then something happened in February of 23, and he probably transferred a lot out. So the blue lines are the value of the account, and the yellow lines are the transactions done from the account. And that can be a little as creating Hedron, staking Hedron and creating it and having it in the account. So you see there's this die off of funds and a die off of activity, but he's still quite active, whoever this guy is. This is the 3931. And right now, 3931 has almost $20,000 worth of Hedron and Hex inside the wallet. So 14,500 of Hedron and 5,000 worth of Hex. And this is only on Ethereum side. And what was the relation with the Dream account? I believe it was either he sent Hedron over there or he sent USDC over there. And I wish the wallet washing softwares were more readily available and made everything easier, because I could get really good at this sort of stuff, visualizing. Okay, another wallet that was connected was 2077. And 2077 also started activity in February and April, or February, March, April. So February, I'm sorry, of 2022. It also did the run up in March 31, 22. Its value of its account was $500,000 at that time. It had some interesting peak right here that took it up to for like a day. It went up to $700,000 worth. And so I don't know if money is passing through this because it just peaks in days. Yeah, that must be what's happening. Money passing through it peaks up in certain days and drops right back down. And then so this account now hardly has any value in it. It has almost $400 worth of Hex in it and $120 worth of Hedron. So $520 worth of tokens in it. And again, this is only on the Ethereum side. And yes, this this account interacted with the dream account. And see, this Explorer makes it to where like I have to click through the pages. Oh my goodness, there's 225 times 100. Those are lots of transactions. Tons of transactions, but there's tons of hex and hedron in this. And I don't think I'm crazy, and I'm showing you like uh, any contract address for a token or any Uniswap address, you know. Okay, so another address that was in contact with the Dream account is 0C68. 0C68 started around the same time, this March 24th, 22. It had a peak around 56,000 back then, so it's a much smaller account. In August of 22, it reached 81,000 and quickly went back down. And then it had this interesting little bump here in January of 24. It bumped up and had a peak of 17,000 and went right back down. And so it currently only has $640 worth of value. There is a lot of hedron in this account. It's almost $500 worth of hedron, and then there's some wrapped ETH in this account at $156 worth. That might be a clue. Wrapped ETH. If we look at the early transactions, it interacts with wrapped ETH, hedron, and hex. No, I don't see hex on here. That might be a clue. If there's no hex and this is the hedron wash account, you know? Okay, so going to the next one. This is where I find the 618 account. So I found another account where the Dream account sent 1,600 USDC to this account called 618. And when I followed 618, all these other ones prior to this didn't have stakes on with Hex, but this 618 account had stakes, which I thought was interesting. And they lined up January and June like Kareem likes to stake them. But this one's 17th of January. Typically, he does 2nd of January, 2nd of June. But this one's 17th of January and 21st of June. And this 21st of June is in the year of 37. But the 17th of January is in the year of 36. And I believe that's the year that Kareem skipped over whenever he was doing things for the community, or not for the community, whenever he was doing stakes. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, Kareem didn't put stakes on 2036. He went from 2035 to 2037. That's what I was talking about. Whenever I was just rambling right now. So this is the Ethereum side only. I didn't check the pulse chain side. Yes, I did check the pulse chain side because I put it into Hex Scout, and I looked at how many active stakes does this guy have. Okay, he has 5 active stakes, meaning 2 of them are on pulse chain and 3 of them are on Ethereum. 3 on Ethereum, 2 on pulse chain. And I just plugged those in right before I came online to do this stream, so I haven't examined them fully. But the value of the accounts plus the staked hex is all at $31,000 worth. And so it's got, oh, here we go. Pulse X, there is $4,800 worth of Pulse X. And Pulse Chain token or coins, he's got 5.5K worth. And then E-Hex stakes, he's got 6K worth. And P-Hex stakes, he's got 14,000K worth. All right. With a total of 8.5 million hex in those stakes and with the interest on them. And the next due date for his hex stake, whichever one that is in 139 days. Thank you, Hex Scout, for doing such a cool website that we can see the rundown for the very next stake that you're going to be accountable for. It looks as though this stake on Ethereum and Pulse Chain, that's 80, let's see. These are pretty big stakes. You know, they're worth quite a bit, and they are 65%, so they're past 50% marker, and those could be emergency end staked in order to get some funds out. And then once again on that Hedron stake issue, this principal thing right here says that there's 6K worth. And so I would like for somebody to tell me what that means. Okay, so that was the 618 account, which I thought was interesting because in the transactions of the Dream account, I found that the Dream account, this one here, sent 618 $1,600 worth of USDC. So was that a friendly payment? Was that a loan paid back? Was that a donation towards the road trips? What was that? Was that Maddie? Was that Hex Lion? Was that a bit? Was that a prostitute? Just kidding. Never. I don't think I've ever talked about sex with a Hexican. So I think we're okay on that. Now, why did I bring up this next wallet? Excuse me. I really don't know why I brought up this next wallet. It deals with Hex, USDC. It's a huge wallet. We can call it the 18D5 wallet. It had started on the ETH side. It had started May 5th of 21. And then it rose. October of 21, it was pretty high up there at $46 million worth. This is tokens inside the wallet, not staked hex. And then later on, late January of 22, it was at $54 million worth, and then came down after that. And then it also had the little bump, like that previous account that started in February of 24 and ended in March of 24. And the height of the bump, oh my goodness, was at $9 million worth. And so where does it sit now? It has a little bit less than $1 million worth. It's at $917,000 worth. $819,000 worth is in USDC coin, and then almost $98,000 worth is in Hex token. So there is 89 million and 722,000 Hex sitting in this wallet on the ETH side. And I must have gotten this wallet address from the Dream accounts transactions. I that's where I got all of these wallet addresses from. Okay, so I'm not just picking on something or pulling this shit out of my ass. Trap says, bro, these have to be his. The 618 is his. Trap is very concerned about that 618. Oh gosh. He says that the 618 account, Trap says in the comments, 618 account activity matches the days of the Dream account. Guys, I am not the best wallet chaser, so please, anybody else or anybody that can get the ear of Silver the Antidote, maybe could help out. Also, if you haven't already, please like, sub, and comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you're thinking right now with this whole Kareem the Dream soap opera, and also please share this video out or the previous videos if you liked any of those. I've been trying to make this. I've been trying to make it to where we can chisel, the new foundation for the community going forward. Who are we Hexicans going to be? We've had all this hype of the pulse chain and the run up of Hex in the past, and people come and go, and they have all sorts of thoughts in their heads, and they call us all sorts of names, and only like when the tides come in and then they recede back into the ocean, then there are good people still left on the beach, and they become another secure portion of our community. So let's continue with all the stages of what's going to be Hex's history, because this stuff happens in crypto, and all those folks that came and gone from Bitcoin, it's quite the similar story. Richard's retweeting out lately, he said something about like I was at Bitcoin at 50 cents and haven't left. This is what happens. So we're putting next in the investigation, we're going to stake Hex today to see if the last account, the 18D5, has any stakes in it. It does not have any active stakes on Ethereum, but instead I did find that it had 89 million Hex in it. So some of this is just like me using the tools to look into these accounts and then just leaving it as a tab on the screen. What did I do here? So I looked up on StakeHex today. The next wallet we're going to talk about is the BBF2. BBF2, where are you? So either Ethereum was sent or Hex was sent to this BBF2 account, and I found stakes there. There are 8 stakes, 1,717 T shares. It's earning 9,900 in interest today. It has a total of 27 million Hex, and it has a value of $43,000 worth. It has 8 active stakes on Ethereum. This first stake is at May. It's set to be due at May of 2025. And then after that, there are 2 stakes for 2031. There's 1 stake for 2033. And then there's 4 stakes for 2036. And those 4 stakes of 2036 all have March as their due dates. This might be a person that took advice from Kareem and became a long-term staker. At one point with the 2036, they staked 2 million Hex, which is what Kareem likes to do with the Dream account. Oh, and they returned to also do a 4 million Hex stake for that same time period, for the March to come out in that same time period. I don't know. This kind of looks like just a ordinary Hexican who didn't really know what they wanted to do. Maybe a person who was convinced by Kareem to stake. This account has absolutely 0 Hex liquid. But that's a good size amount of T shares. That means that they're a dolphin, and only 8 stakes. And then if these were done before the Pulse chain release, then of course they've got 2 dolphin accounts, one on Ethereum and one on Pulse chain. During my last live stream, I talked about good accounting, but I never told you like the punchline of why it is that somebody would want to do good accounting. Because I got distracted. It was Paul Sachs or somebody was in the comments talking about like how exactly does that good accounting work and why, and what are all the ins and outs of it. Well, that got me distracted, and I wanted to tell you why it was that somebody said anything about good accounting in the first place, because I thought it was like one of the best comments on Twitter thus far underneath Yoon's Yoon or Maddie's announcement of this fundraiser. Well, good accounting in the early days of Hex, we used to always say, if it is that you're locked in jail, then anybody can run good accounting for your account. So good accounting is a function where somebody can end your stake and make it to where you wouldn't have the late in-stake penalties. It's just something that's worked into the protocol of Hex. So when your Hex stake ends, you have 2 weeks until penalties start, and it'll penalize you if you don't attend to that stake. It'll penalize you 1% per week that you allow that to exist the way that it is. And a lot of people, whenever the ETH, whenever the S load in ETH was increased, the amount of ETH that it would cost to run the S load on our Hex stakes, and the price of ETH went up as well, and the price of Hex went down, then a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, I'll just allow my Hex stake to bleed out. I just won't unstake it." And um, so the 1% per week is an example, or that is an example of the 1% per week of how it works into how we've experienced it in real life. So the good accounting function is there for people to not have access to your account, but yet still help you out if you're in a bind, or if it is that you don't want to mint the hex and receive that hex at the end of your stake in the time period that you have set for that stake. So if it is that we're arriving at the end of a year and you're like, well, I'd much rather have my hex be minted in the following year in order for it to look a certain way on taxes, then so be it. You could run the good accounting function. You could wait until the time period that you're really wanting, and then you could run the in-stake function, and then that would mint the new hex. I tried to make that concise. So I see Finbear has popped in here. Welcome, Finbear. And I guess that's it. Like, I'm able to keep this at an hour, and the drama continues. I don't have anything else to talk about on the top of my head. And we've all got some work to do, or just stay tuned. Anybody got anything else to lead my thoughts? Otherwise, I'll call it quits. And I'll call it quits with a Crypto Wonder song that he released today on YouTube. He calls it Hexen Chaos, Caicos. I'll just play it.
Stuck in a jail somewhere with the Greek guy named Malagos. In the spaces, they say you know bueno. They caught you in the club out in Miami, sleeping yayo. Ayos mio. When you gonna get bailed out of the jail cell? Cause that night is mucho frio. Hexicans. Hexicans. When I find out my peoples get locked up in the clink, I feel bad for them cause I know they didn't think. And social media wants me to give some donations to a guy I only met on one occasion. He didn't die, but his freedom's in question. Got back in the airport with bullets for ammunition. What am I missing? Only thing you should have got back for was for a bag of contraceptives. I'm not for the deception. All these years you on Instagram.
Yes sir, we're looking good out here.
And bang bang makes sense. You about to wreck your dream account for no dollars. So
Don't play with us. Don't
give to sell, now you stuck in a cell. God threw you in jail. The creator threw you in jail to save you from yourself. Hex and Caicos, stuck in a jail somewhere with the Greek guy named Malakos. In the spaces, they say you know bueno. They caught you in the club out in Miami sniffing yayo. Ay, Dios mío, when you gonna get bailed out of the jail cell? Cause at night it's mucho frio. Hex and Caicos, Hex and Caicos.
Once again, shout out to Crypto Wonder. Very timely for that. I'm glad that we listened to that because that gave me another idea. Guys, whenever it is like Hexlina said, if you're a shark or more, then you are the only people that should pay attention to this. Other than that, you shouldn't worry about putting any funds towards it. Well, some things have got me thinking about how if it is that you take the financial burdens of others, then you're kind of like inviting their demons towards you. So please, uh, you know, in your spiritual world, recognize that if it's not just like if you make promises, but like literally if you pass economic energy to someone else, you are attaching yourself to that person's burdens. So consider that. And I think that came around because I one I recognized the downturn, the universe's turbulence in the last few days. It's been interesting. Like right before this market downturn, there were a few other things that had happened to a lot of people, including right after Kareem. Like cars breaking down or car crashes are the most obvious things and right out in our faces. So I hope everybody's doing well on the backside of all this. But Moon King, who I told you has me blocked on Twitter and I can't see his stuff, but I was told that Moon King said something about like let somebody else's burdens be theirs and not to take on other people's. And it was a quote from the Bible, and he made two posts back to back with that, and it was in response to one of Yoon's things. So it wasn't just an outright post to Twitter. It was an actual comments inside the thread. So that's what sort of got me to bring that out. Tin Top says, that hurts so bad looking at the stakes that I could buy on the market cheaper than ending the stake. Yeah. So yeah, it sucks whenever it's the gas prices outweigh the hex that you're going to get back, and then you just allow it to be. And if it's equal price, what are you going to do? I'd probably go ahead and do it, because a transaction cost with an exchange actually costs you more. So I would go ahead and do it and just allow the hex to sit, or even, um, you know, depending, stake it for a large amount and put it on a specific day that that you're either going to be visiting to in stake already, or do a Hail Mary, a long run, exactly 15 years. If it's just pennies to you now. But all of us in Hex, we of course want pennies to turn into $100 bills, y'all. So Finbear says that he's catching up at 2x speed. I'm going to try to outrun him and exit the stream. And Trap Gravity says all, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. Okay, so with Yoon doing pull-ups on our screen, I guess this will be it. Again, this is a victimless crime. One of our Hexicans is locked up. He doesn't have control of his own body now. He did say in one of the audio messages that the food isn't that bad. So at least we've got that going on. food ain't that bad, but yet he is sleeping without a mattress, is what we're told. And then it'll be September 6th. It's been said to us many times. September 6th is his court date. And of course, this has happened to other people. It's just that these other people have been US citizens and it was at an earlier time. And Kareem is not a US citizen. I'm told he has a green card. He has a Miami's driver's license, and he's from the Central Republic, which was called the Congo, I think, in previous years. So please share this video out. Let's see how many people would be interested in the subject. All right. Eco Builder out.